Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. We're going to be doing another segment on knowing that artist, and I'm joined here by cosplayer slash makeup art, special effects makeup artist Rosey Toesies. How you doing tonight, Rosie?
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. Again, I want to thank Vespit for name dropping you to talk about what it's like being a makeup artist and everything. So to begin, how long have you been doing makeup for?
Um, so in terms of, okay, so I got into cosplay before I got into what I would call being more of like a makeup artist, right? So I got into cosplay in 2012. And then I got into makeup and especially SFX makeup in I believe it was 2016 or 2017 in that time frame.
So 5, 6, 7 years roughly.
Yeah, yeah. What year is it? I have
We're
no idea
2020.
anymore.
We're 2022
Oh
now.
no, please.
Um, so what made you want to get into being a makeup artist, especially special effects makeup?
Okay, so when I was in college, a little show called Voltron Legendary Defender just came out
On Netflix?
on Netflix.
I
Yes,
remember. I
and
haven't finished it, but I'm fully familiar with the
don't
show.
just don't finish it. Just let it live as it is in your memory.
Duly noted.
Um, but anyway, so in I think it was like season 3 or something, there were some characters in there that were the alien race that is in the show. And my friend at the time, who had gotten into body paint way earlier, was like, "Oh my god, we should do these specific characters. They're really cool." And she's like, "There's specifically one that I've been told I look a lot like. I want to do her." And I'm like, "Great." So I was looking at it, and all of the other characters, they're all different colors. I'd never done body paint before, and out of the 3 remaining characters left for this group, one of them was huge and had this really elaborate wig that I did not have the confidence to do at the time. And the other one didn't have eyes as like part of her design. So I'm just like, no.
Would that happen to
uh,
be the Gulra? I think they're
yes.
called. Yeah. Okay. I like
Yeah,
when you
it was
said
specifically like Lotor's generals, his little squad that he has. And so the one left, and also the one that I was looking at, and I'm like, I could figure out how to make that work, was Azor, who is an alien that is like bald. She doesn't have any hair, and she's got this like kind of I call it almost like a sock coming off the back of her head.
what's her name?
Uh Azor, it's Ezor.
AZOR. Continue. I'm looking them up right
Yeah,
now.
so she's crazy. She's orange. Her head thing is like a bunch of different colors, and everything like that. So my
Uh
friend was like, "Oh my god, yes, that's her."
oh wow, yeah, that's a lot of like definitely a lot of like orange, but then you got the blue, the green,
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah, there was a
Continue.
lot happening. Yes, so that was my first step into body paint ever, and also my first step into like heavy duty latex because I had to wear a bald cap and like blend that all out and everything, and completely paint myself for that. And so we started doing the generals same year that the season dropped, which again is I think 2017, but I'm not 100% sure. And I think I did her makeup like 7 or 8 times for different projects or shoots or anything. I got really well known for it actually. Like there's still people to this day that are like, yeah, I know you for Ezor. And I'm like, please don't. But yeah, so that was how I got into all of it. And after doing that as my like starting off point, right? Anything past that was like, this is easy. I got this. It's fine. It's not like a bald cap application that I had to poke a hole through the back of to like bun my hair to attach that thing to and then blend out my hairline. Also, like I was so covered in gel to get it because you have to completely gel your hair down to put a bald cap on because you're trying to make it as smooth as possible to your skull. So I literally like I had my hair bunned up in this really high ponytail, and I could take all of it off. I could take the bald cap off, and my hair would just stay. Like it was just so it was terrible. And I had to glue down the front of the bald cap. And because I don't use water-based body paints, I use cream-based body paints. They don't water-based does not stick to latex. So I had to use a latex bald cap because the other ones are very like they were more expensive than I had money for in college, to be getting constantly as like a one-use product. So then I also had to blend out my hairline with liquid latex, like where it's at, and it took all my baby hairs every single time. Like
Ooh.
it hurts. So I always like to joke that Ezra stole my hairline in 2017, and I have yet to retrieve it.
Before we go further on, how long did it take to apply the makeup for Azor?
So
If you can remember.
When we were first doing it, it was about 3 hours with assistance because I had to paint the back of my head, and I can't see that. By the time I actually did her makeup recently, like 2 years ago, I think, for like a nostalgia collab with a bunch of the big creators from the Voltron cosplay scene, and that was unassisted. I think only took me about 2 hours, which was pretty good. But it really sucked because we went to like, I'd wear this to cons, so sometimes I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. because it was going to be
a long
a
process.
really long makeup application. Yeah, but it was cool. I got to meet a lot of the voice actors actually from the show in it. So I got my fun use out of her, and never again.
Now, have you done makeup on other people, like for projects,
Yeah.
theater, stuff like that?
So I was a theater kid. I was a techie specifically. I didn't do too much in makeup. I mostly did costumes, because I've been sewing my costumes since 2012, and my friends knew that, so they stole me. But I do makeup pretty often on my sister. I have a younger sister. And I will also I have a couple newer friends in the cosplay scene that I've been helping kind of learn and do their stuff and everything. But I don't do too much like model work, I guess you could say. Like it's mostly my younger sister, because she really likes wearing the makeup, but she has no idea how to put it on. So whenever I go home, she's like, "Oh, can you do my makeup today?" And I'm like, "All right," And it's like it's never anything that's like super simple, right? What was the last one I did for her? It was like some water elemental was the last thing she wanted, and I'm like, "All right, here we go."
Nice. No, I can definitely tell you do like a lot of like full on body paint and everything. Aside from was Azor full body, or was she just like head and hands?
No, so she was mostly my head and my neck. I really try to avoid having to paint my hands, especially going to events, because as like much as you conceal yourself and everything, unless you were using like alcohol paints or something, which are so hard to get off, you're gonna still have a little bit of transfer. It's very minimal, but like just especially from going to events and touching other people or other people's stuff, I don't want to be transferring anywhere. So for almost all of my ones that are even like full body, I have either gloves or arm socks.
Which
so my hands are not actually painted.
Which I think is someone who has makeup on is their best friend, because a lot of people don't want to have their, like you said, hands painted, and arm socks arm socks are a good way to go when you don't want to fully cover your arm.
Yeah, it's pretty helpful. So right now, I think the most involved amount of paint that I have had to do, especially for events, is actually I cosplay Ruby of the Sea from Critical Role. And hers is my head, my neck, and pretty far down on my chest, and also my like back shoulder area and everything, because she wears a low cut, strapless like bodice gown.
I mean this one right here.
Yes, it's that one.
Okay, that's a lot of red. Now, was there any trial and error with Ruby of the Sea? Because I know that, like I said, that's a lot of red, and imagine that was not an easy thing to get, because you also had to
something I kind of learned doing, because I cosplay quite a few of the Critical Role characters, and a lot of them are very colorful. But something I learned with the first Critical Role cosplay, first Critical Role cosplay that I did, which was not the Brave, the little goblin. She's green
and has that lipstick,
the mask. Yeah. But she's green, and I wanted her to be disgusting. So that was a very interesting way to, because up to that point, most of the makeup I had done, even though it was, different colors or whatever, but I mean, you're still trying to look pretty, but for not, I'm like, she is an absolute disgusting goblin. She eats like rats. Like, no. So, but one thing I was running into the problem with is whenever I apply my body paints, I like to start with a white base all the time, regardless of what color is going on. And one, it's for longevity, because I live in Texas.
It's hot.
Really hot. I specifically live in a very humid area of Texas, so it's a lot of sweating, which is another reason I don't really wear water-based paints because they reactivate with water, so it's like you're gonna sweat your makeup off. Um, but with the cream paints, especially if you've got hair on your face, and mine is like the end of my nose that gets like rubbed a lot. If you only have the one layer of paint, a lot of times it rubs off very quickly, and it also stains you a lot more. So I actually start with white. But something I was running into a problem with Knock was trying to blend the green into the white. I ended up looking very minty. So I started adding a lot of yellow and everything to her. And I actually had to do the same thing for Ruby because I am blending red into white. I turned out very pink. And it actually is quite hard to get her as pigmented as I want her to be on top of that white base. But I refuse to get rid of the white base just because I think it helps keep it on me. And I also don't want to be stained red.
That makes sense. Another question, a question I usually ask, because for you having do makeup on others, ever had a like a mess up or an issue where someone says they had a latex allergy, but they didn't say that they have a latex allergy?
No, because I'm very, very careful with patch testing because my sister does have a latex allergy. Both my sister and my mother have latex allergies, so I grew up with that. So I will not do any sort of latex, spirit gum, Prozac, like any sort of SFX stuff on people until they've had a patch test, and they need to have that patch test for at least like 6 hours before I'm gonna go do anything on
What's
them.
I know this is gonna sound not smart of me to
With the
ask.
patch test,
Yeah, what is that? Is it like you just like a little patch of like the on the skin
yeah.
or something?
So,
Okay.
so the best way or the best place to put it, I think, is on the inside of your wrist, and it's because the skin here is really delicate, like it would be on your face. But because of this location, you could also do like your neck or something like that. But because it's on your wrist, if you do have a reaction, it's a lot easier to get off quickly. And you put whatever it is. It's also good to do this even for like new skincare products and stuff. But you put whatever it is on your wrist on a little section, and you leave it there. And minimum, and I hesitate to even say this, but minimum is like 30 minutes. But I especially if you're going to be wearing it to an event where you're wearing it long term, it needs to be like 6 to 12 hours because you might not have a reaction in that first 30 minutes, but you might have a reaction in a couple hours because that thing's just on your skin. So that's why you have to do patch tests and you need to do them like way ahead of time.
Pro tip.
Everything. Yeah. Because you don't want to be, glued into a prosthetic piece and then have like an allergic reaction and be covered in hives and you can't breathe and you go to the ER. Like,
You don't want that.
yeah, no.
Ever had any
So,
ever had any mishaps or screw ups on yourself when doing special effects or body paint?
I mean, I would classify the first probably 5 times I did Azor as a mess up because we were learning. But not too bad for the most part because a lot of times it was quite nice, especially with like body paint or the way I do body paint and everything. Is it's pretty forgiving. So if you're having an issue, until you set it, and even then, you can continue adding colors, you can blend it, you can do a whole bunch of stuff to kind of correct what's going on. And then also like kind of same thing with prosthetics. If there's a problem like with a latex piece, you just add a little bit more latex and kind of blend it out. It's fine.
Nice.
So I think the biggest issue that I have is sometimes you just go way over time wise because you are correcting whatever problems are going, and that's how makeup applications go from 3 hours to 5. Like,
Oh, jeez. I guess now, what's the longest application that you've either done in yourself or someone else?
it was on me, and it was 8 hours, and it was Galaxy Azor. So that was actually what I went viral for. Say viral, whatever. But like back when I was doing Azor, it was an 8-hour application because I had to do her whole basic thing, and I did. I wasn't wearing a shirt, in the thing, so in frame. So I went all down my arms and my shoulders and my back and everything as well. So that was a lot. And then also the bald cap. And then on top of all of that, I did a Galaxy makeup. So Galaxy makeup on its own takes quite a while. And then also with the body paint and the prosthetics, it was 8 hours to put all that on.
I'm looking up Galaxy Azor right now.
I don't think I have a picture of her on my current account.
Well, no,
Um,
I'm looking on. Is now she the same skin color as a regular Azor or different or?
yeah, no, she is. It basically was the same thing, and then I put this big galaxy thing kind of on her cheekbone
Oh,
area.
okay. Now I've noticed you on your Instagram because it gives me questions to ask. I know you also do some regular basic makeup like for your cosplays and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like doing Rengoku's eyebrows from Demon Slayer? I'm kind of curious.
Hang on, I'm gonna show you something. I don't know if you're gonna have any of this video footage, but one second. So I have a Rengoku shrine basically in my room, and my friend for my birthday party invitations went out, and I was like, "All right, you can come dressed as whatever, but you got to have the eyebrows." So this was my present for my friend. She literally just got it just hot glued laser felt on for him. She also took a Sharpie and put eyebrows on every single piece of wrapping that she had on the gifts. It was very cute. But yeah, so I used to cover my eyebrows for everything. Now I shave them off. So I don't really wear makeup like on my day-to-day life for the most part. I'm very lazy. I don't want to do it. Um so for the longest time I was like, I can't shave my eyebrows off, even though it's gonna make my life so much easier for cosplay stuff. Because I want to have eyebrows in my normal life, right? So I used to cover them. So I would glue them down and I would cover them with concealer and all kind of stuff. Followed a lot of drag queen tutorials. And I started doing that for like Levi from Attack on Titan, like way back in like
Yeah, his
2013, right?
eyebrows are like pretty. His eyebrows are out there too.
Right, they have got this stupid pencil thin situation going on. Um, but yeah, so I used to glue them all down all the time, and I actually have like a very solid routine on how to do that at that point. Um, so I used to just do that for Rengoku, where I would glue my eyebrows down and then I'd have to just draw them on top of it. But now I actually shave off my eyebrows. It's not the whole thing; it's just kind of like the midpoint to the tail. And then I can kind of go in and shape whatever. So now I just draw them directly on. And it's actually very sad because I know what this man looks like and I've done his makeup so many times that I can just do it from memory.
When you first did his eyebrows, because now he's got some intricate looking eyebrows. I'll show people a reference picture of what he looks like for those who don't know him.
Yeah.
How many attempts did it take for you to get the eyebrows just right? Because I know they're very symmetrical and everything as well.
Yeah, so you work very slowly, very small little strokes, and there definitely were like the first handful of times, probably three or four, when I did it, where his eyebrows just ended up being way thicker and bigger than I wanted them to be. Because you're just like, oh, I'll just add a little more here. Like, oh, it's not even. I'll add a little more here, and then you just end up with giant caterpillar brows, and it's great. um, but yeah, it's at this point, it also kind of just depends on what I'm doing too, because sometimes I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't need to exaggerate them as much, or a lot of times I'll do either like a female version or a like glam version or something, and I'm like, I want the brows to be a little softer. But yes, yeah, there were definitely quite a few screw ups in the beginning, but you would not be able to tell because we just made sure that they were even-ish and went with it anyway. It was fine.
Now what's it like coloring your eyebrows? Because I'm also looking at I think it's Venti, I think from Genshin Impact. Is that the one you did?
I've done that in the past. I've done so many at this point.
I guess in general, what's it like coloring your eyebrows? Do you do like the glue stick method, or what method do
Well,
you do?
I used to. So when I had eyebrows, I used to glue them down, and what I do is I actually used to use spirit gum because I have pretty sparse eyebrow hair. My main issue is I just have dark hair. I'm Asian. But so it's more like color than how thick of the eyebrow hair that I have. So I was able to use spirit gum on mine, which was a lot thinner, which was really nice because if you use the glue stick method, it definitely helps, especially if you have like a lot denser eyebrow hair. Because you can kind of really work it in there. But with spirit gum and everything, it's nice because it's not as many layers of like caked on glue. So you can still move your brows. Because when you have the glue stick, you kind of end up being a little bit expressionless because this entire like forehead section of your face, you can't move it because it's just so stiff. so I liked being able to use the spirit gum because I had more range of expression. And I would basically put a layer of spirit gum down and then get like a little spoolie. And you just kind of brush that hair in the direction it grows because then it's more flat against your face. And then it was just powder color corrector that was the opposite color from on the color wheel from my hair. So when you try to color like black with a skin tone, it usually ends up coming through blue. So you need like an orange usually to color correct it to brown because that's like what your skin would be, right? And so I would do that, and I would do regular concealer. I would do my own foundation and just layer, and then I would go in with a eyeliner, a black eyeliner. Usually pencil first, draw in whatever shape you want, go back over it with a liquid so it's darker, and no matter what color, because the problem is, especially with lighter colors like white brows are like infamously bad. You need to have a little bit of that darker outline just so you can kind of see them against your face. So I would go in on top of the black with an angle brush and white pencil liner over it, and then eyeshadow over that, and then usually darker eyeshadow to kind of shade the front of it to give it a little bit more dimension. So it has been absolutely great how many palettes have been coming out in recent years, though, that are rainbow colored and everything, but they have a multitude of colors in mattes specifically. Because back in the day, man, I'm so old. Back in the day,
You're all. I'm almost 30, so I mean, come on now.
I'm 25. We would get palettes, right? And you would have maybe some colors here and there, but they were always like shimmer or glitters or something. And it's like, when you're trying to make hair, it doesn't look great. But I mean, I have palettes now that are like, I got this one specifically that is just for try not to blind you.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that it is.
Oh wow, that's a lot of matte colors. I mean, hell, now even days where there's like they're coming out with a bunch of themed makeup palettes like Harley Quinn or horror movie based Beetlejuice, stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually have quite a few makeup palettes. I have found a very like I have a lot of fun recently. I've been collecting makeup palettes from kind of like, I guess you say, indie brands, right? That are very like anime or nerd themed. So that's been very fun for me. Like I have this one that's
Lore Olympus.
the Demon
No.
Slayer.
Oh, Demon Slayer, nice.
Or like this one's fun. This one's Adam's Family.
Oh wow, nice.
And I think this one's supposed to be like Kiki's Delivery Service.
Maybe. Now what's it like when you do contouring? What kind of makeups have you used? What kind of makeups that you've done that involved contouring?
Well, I mean, like I contour all of my makeup. So I mean, I guess if you're talking about like heavy contouring, paint.
Yeah,
body paint. Because the problem with body paint is you are making yourself all one color, so you're taking all of dimension out of your face. You're just very flat across the board. So you need a lot of really heavy contouring for body paint to give yourself features again. It is also kind of fun because you were able to kind of sculpt your head and your facial features a lot more than you would be able to on just a normal, human colored.
Give it that 3D effect in a sense.
Yeah. So the way that I actually apply my paints and everything, it's kind of going back to like me adding yellow to both Knot and Ruby. I kind of also add undertones to stuff too. But I do that white base, right? And I only put the pigments down in my contour areas and then just blend out. So that way you're already naturally kind of giving yourself some shadows and some highlights to work with. So you have like darker areas in your cheekbones and then like cheek hollows. And then on top of your cheekbones, because you have less paint by the time you get there when you're blending it out, it's lighter. And I would also put like the yellows or whatever for them on my cheekbones to kind of differentiate the colors. But then even after I set it, I go ahead and contour all over again with powders as well. So you just kind of keep going in and working it. And like sometimes you're looking at yourself and you're like, wow, I look crazy. Like this is too much. But especially if you're adding wigs and crazy, costume pieces.
I've definitely noticed that in your Jester cosplay from Critical Role.
Yeah, Jester's interesting because she's blue, obviously, but her favorite color is pink. So I do try to do like pink eyeshadows for her and I do like pink lipstick and like all this kind of stuff, and I put pink glitter. But it's a little bit hard with her sometimes because it's very easy to accidentally blend that out to purple because it mixes with
Oh yeah.
the rest of the colors on you.
Nice. Now what was it like? So looking at your Persephone and your friend as Hades, did you do both the makeup, or did your friend do the Hades and you did your Persephone?
So that is actually my friend. Her name's Bree. She's the one who got me into body paint back in 2017.
Well, shout out to Bree.
Yes. So yeah, so she did her own, and then I did mine. And then we laid around in my living room eating muffins for a couple hours. Because after you go through several hours of bonding of being covered in paint and then inhaling baby powder, it's just
Nothing wrong with that. Because that's right. Isn't like baby powder? Doesn't like help that? Doesn't that like help prevent sweating?
I'm not sure. Maybe. I use it instead of setting powder for my body paint because
Pro tip.
setting powder is kind of expensive for stuff to constantly be using.
I mean,
use quite a bit of it.
they're kind of the same consistency in a way, and they both leave a powdery effect on your skin.
Yeah, and if you're already not supposed to be a human skin color anyway, having it basically be white and or like actually like translucent because it's just gonna brush off into whatever color, it's very helpful. Because I've actually had issues. Thinking about it now, one of the issues that we've had in the past is like, I think the first time I did Azor, I didn't use baby powder. I used like my setting powder, but it ended up making her not really orange anymore. It kind of took her into this weird like beige because you were getting the color from like setting powder isn't just like it's not translucent. It's not like entirely translucent or anything. It does usually have a like pigment to it.
It's not like setting spray.
No. So especially with cream paint, because it doesn't dry down. It's not like with water or alcohol paint. You have to have something in it that will like soak up that moisture, and that's, you got to dump like a copious amount of powder on yourself to get that to happen, and it would just be ridiculously expensive, I think, to be doing that with setting powder. And also, it messes up your color and stuff. So I usually use baby powder for it. I had the one same bottle of baby powder. I can't remember exactly the size now, which is like one of the bigger ones. I literally just finished that this year, and I've had that since I started with Azor in 2017.
Yeah, sure, not the pretty one. Now I gotta ask. It's about one of your other makeups. How long did it take to get the circles just right on your Demon Spider makeup from Demon Slayer?
Yeah. That was a weird one because that was the first time that the white on her is actually water-based paint because I wasn't going anywhere. It was just in my house. So I was like, it'll be fine. It was not fine. I don't really have as much experience with water paint or water activated paint. So yeah, she was very crackly. But that's just the consistency was not correct. It's too much water. It was not anyway. The circles I freehanded, and it was kind of the same tactic of just very slow, small strokes and just kind of keep adding to it until they look even enough. But I will say, I think actually the most frustrating thing with that one was the fact that I had to color a pair of fake eyelashes to be that kind of green color that she's got going on.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's like a mint green color.
Yeah. So I colored her lashes using body paint, again, sealed it the same way that I seal myself and my prosthetics and everything. But the problem is because it's a layer of paint on a product, the glue kept gluing to the paint, and then the paint would like come off the lash. So it took me probably about 4 or 5 attempts to get those to actually stick to my eyes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now they make colored eyelashes, so I went through all that trouble for nothing.
Now this is a question I think I haven't asked in a long while. What's the tip you didn't know back then that you know now? Or what's something you know now that you wish you had known back then?
That they're gonna make colored eyelashes in 3 years, so just wait a sec. No. Let me think. Well, okay, so a really basic makeup tip this is not specifically an SFX makeup tip, but a really basic tip that I did not make the connection on for an embarrassingly long amount of time is I have, obviously I'm Chinese, so my eyes, the way that my eyelids fold, a lot of times you can't see anything if I put eyeshadows on it. If it's below my crease, you can't see it just because of the way that you just can't see that part of my eye. So I didn't realize though, for like so many years, I would always like have all of this makeup or eyeshadow I was doing, and I'm just like, oh, I need to kind of keep it closer to my eye. I don't want to like go crazy with it or anything. Now I'm just like cover my entire face. Doesn't matter. But I was like, I want to say probably 20 when I graduate. It was like 2019, I think. By the time I figured it out, I'm like, oh wait, I need to put it above so you can see it when you open your eyes.
Yeah, I definitely
like,
noticed that
oh
with
my
your
God.
I definitely noticed that with your Rengoku. You can definitely see the eyeshadow and everything.
Yeah, well, his is a little bit exaggerated because I don't only go out like this direction with it, from the outer corner up to like my temple. I also go from my inner corner down kind of my nose for him as well. So he's a little bit crazy and everything, but I think it's fun. So, but that was just something that I'm just like, man, past self, come on, that's so obvious. And now they have all those different like eyeliner shapes and stuff that are okay to do. Because I remember like when we like way back when looking at like, you know, cosplay makeup or whatever, a lot of times people will just kind of like, oh, you look directly at the camera and you put your or not the camera, the mirror and everything, and you put your eyeliner on with your eye open, and everyone's like, no, you can't do that, it's so tacky, like it looks weird because if you close your eye you're going to see all this weird stuff on your eyelid. And then now we have like the Batwing liner, and that's straight up what that is. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, I guess nowadays there's a lot more stuff that is more like mainstream to do for different eye shapes, which is like, thank you, not everybody's eyes are all the same. I'm trying to think of like a tip that's for something a little bit more out there.
While you're thinking about that, because you look deep in thought,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say some of your favorite makeups have been? And then a follow-up question: what are some makeups you're looking forward to do later down the road?
Yeah.
I always like to throw those curveball questions because it really gets into
Yeah. Well, now see, this is a problem because I like a lot of shit I do. Obviously, you don't spend like multiple hours putting something on your face if you don't like it, right?
True.
So okay, well, one of my favorites that I've done in terms of just like I guess SFX makeups and stuff is actually one of my OCs. Her name is Sherry. I think she's on my page. She's green and pink. Someone unfortunately pointed out to me that she's the colors of Arizona green tea, which is correct. It was not intentional.
I'm looking right now.
She's
Continue.
pretty far down.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking.
but she was really fun because it was a body paint. It was like my own design. So I have had a lot more joy, I think, in recent years, kind of putting my own spin on things. I used to be very like, I'm screen accurate or whatever, but now I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I want with it. That's why I do all kinds of crazy fabrics and stuff like that now. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at her right now. How did you do the horns?
So the horns are, I made them. So they are like foam clay that I
Really?
sculpted. And then after they fully dried, I completely covered them in liquid latex and let some pool at the base so it could actually attach to my head. And then once all that dried, glued it using spirit gum to my forehead, and then kind of like put some latex around the sides to blend it more into my face. And then I also have, I never remember the name. I always call it the wrong thing. Give me a second. She's got scarring. So I used
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's really impressive.
you. Oh, here it is. Yeah, rigid collodion, what it's called. I
Never
would
heard
call
of
it
it.
rigid collagen, and it's not correct.
Never heard of it before.
Yeah, but it's this little liquid thing, and you put it on, and it makes your skin like pucker. So that's how I did her scars, because if you put it in like a straight line, it'll like kind of make your skin go in, and it makes it look like you have like scarring going on. So it is really uncomfortable because it's very tight, kind of hurts. But I put that on as well for her face scars because she's got that one horn that got
Yeah, I
crushed
saw that.
basically, and
How
yeah.
did you go about making the one horn that like looked like it was like ripped off?
Same process where it was foam clay and then I covered it in latex and everything. But when I was doing the foam clay bit, I think I didn't make it like a full point or anything, but I kind of went a little bit further than I needed to, and then I went at it with like a pair of scissors and just kind of like got it all jagged.
Kind of like Hellboy's horns when he rips them off in Hellboy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so she was a lot of fun. She was actually something that one of my friends did, like a Oni girl tag. And we were like a little squad and everything for that. So it was kind of fun to develop her and her personality and kind of make her a look around that. But yeah, she was a lot because I think that was at the time I still had to cover my eyebrows. So I had like glue on my eyebrows, and then right above that, glue for these horns, and then latex.
Yeah,
I doesn't get in your
I
eyebrows
was
because you're
looking
not
at
going to have
that.
them.
I just saw. Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Yeah. And then
How long does she take?
I want to say about 3 hours, and that was on a work night too.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I was about to say putting the rigid never gonna remember his name, rigid collodion on my face was kind of a bad call because I don't think I finished filming her until like 1 or 2 in the morning, right? And then I had to go to work at like 6 a.m. And when I peeled off the strips of this scarring makeup, right, my skin was like really, really irritated underneath it. And I'm like, oh crap, because it's because it had puckered it so much, you know. And so I go to work.
It caused an allergic reaction.
No, it was not an allergic reaction, but I think it's just because it was set in a specific, like very tight squeezing way for like, well, I mean, the makeup itself took about 3 hours, and then I was filming probably for at least 2 or 3 as well. So it was just on me for a really long time. Yeah, so I went to work the next morning. I still had red lines. They were faded, but they were definitely still there. And I was like, hope no one asks me. Because I worked in like a sales office. So I was like, oh, good. But yeah, she is one of my favorites. I actually have not done her again since then. Honestly, other favorite stuff, like it's more of a character thing. Probably Rengoku is a really easy one because I've just done it so much. It's very well that I just can do without even thinking about it.
You can just do it in your sleep.
Yeah. I also really enjoy doing makeup for Mitsuri, honestly.
Who?
Because she's just Mitsuri from Demon Slayer as well. She's the pink and green hair.
Oh, okay. She has like pigtails that go down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people cosplaying her.
Yeah, so she's always just fun because I always like to add like fun little like cute makeup details and things to her, and also because I like to do cut creases with like pink and green, and I'll alternate which one goes where, and everything to just kind of match her whole hair and all that.
So I can tell you like doing not, you know, when you don't want to like do full on body paint or special effects, you like doing simple makeup, but you also like to add a little flair to that basic makeup. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know.
Yeah, like one of my favorite things to do is adding like little graphic liner things. So like when I do Klee from Genshin Impact, for example, the last time I did her, I did it the first time too, actually, but it was not as pronounced. You couldn't see it as well. But I put like this like red eyeshadow on her, which like, you know, obviously in game she's like 10, she's like red eyeshadow. But I also like to go in with like a white eyeliner, make her little 4-leaf clover on like right under my brow and that kind of stuff. So I think it's a lot of fun, honestly. Like it's that thing where I'm like, is it accurate? No, but who cares? Like it's just extra, it's fun. I like adding color to things, might as well.
Nothing wrong with that. Now top 5 makeups you would like to do, whether it be standard beauty makeup or special effects full body.
I really want to do, okay, so I have one that I'm planning probably for like October, which is gonna be really interesting, but it's one of my OCs. Her name is Callisto, and she's a mermaid. So, but she's like not necessarily a glam mermaid, right? Like she's supposed to be a bit unnerving.
Well, the name I could tell just the name right away. It sounded like a mermaid type name.
Yeah. Yeah, she's sort of like a tag I started at the beginning of quarantine and we just never did. I bought a mermaid tail for this and everything. It's like I have a whole bin. I'm making her seashell armor. It's a lot. Anyway, but I want to do like prosthetic stuff for her. I've got these ears that I got from, what is their name? Cannot remember their name now. It's a seller on Instagram, but they make a bunch of prosthetic ears. But I got ears for her that are like fins almost.
I know what kind of ears you're talking about. I have seen people been using like the quote unquote mermaid ears.
Yeah, so those are really fun. Sometimes I use those. I also want to do like gills. She also has like a big like throat scar and everything. So looking forward to that. She's also supposed to be like able to stare into your soul, kind of, in terms of just the way that her whole eye situation is going on. So I'm very excited to get to kind of explore that a little bit and get not necessarily horror, but
Fantasy horror type ish.
A little bit, yeah. I think that's going to be
Nice.
very interesting to do. I'm trying to think if I have any sort. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that I do is specifically character, like licensed character stuff. It's not as much of my OCs anymore. I say anymore. I don't know why. I know why. That's because I'm not in quarantine. That's really when I started doing all the OC things, because I'm like, well, I don't have anything to do.
Nothing wrong with that. You know, gotta you know.
I am looking forward. I guess also another OC thing is to my friends and I for Renfest this year, we're planning on having like a mushroom army.
Ooh.
Because my friend last month had like a mushroom themed birthday party, right?
I heard Texas does have a good sized Ren fair.
We do. I think someone told me the largest in the US in terms of like acres. It's huge. It's very big. But we went a couple times this year. It was really fun because I got to go. I made a big fairy dress this past year for my sister.
I think I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah, I've got some pictures up there. And then we also went as our D&D party and everything. So that was another body paint. I got one of my friends to body paint actually for that too.
Nice.
Because it rained that day. So,
oh no.
Luckily we were a bit late, so we actually missed the rain, but it was so stinking humid and we were wearing masks, so mine just like with the paint just like glued itself to my face, and I'm like, well, that's part of me now. I am excited to do her again, Frigga. That's
nice.
My, pirate orc, but
nice.
yeah, I'm trying to think what else I have planned this year. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, something.
It always changes.
Yeah.
Probably three more questions. Do you have like a least favorite makeup you've done? Like it was a makeup that you wanted to try, but it just didn't turn out as
literally anything from before I graduated college. No. I don't know. I'm trying to think now. There's not really ever been a point, I think, where I've just been like, this is unsalvageable. I can't use this for anything. I usually try to find some way to kind of fix it or at least go a different direction or something. Very infrequently have I had to like fully restart. I guess one thing I did learn how to do it recently, but for years I never did. Like you see a lot with a lot of Asian cosplayers, they draw on like a fake eyelid. Yeah,
I've never heard of that before. I know
it's because we don't have double eyelids. So
I know some cosplayers when they do makeup, you know, like white cosplayers, they do the whole tape their eyes to look.
Yeah, that's not really a good idea, but
no, yes, it's a question I ask because it was a question I did when I did a podcast panel about, there's a question, do's and don'ts for makeup.
Don't tape your eyes. Yeah. Don't wear other people's races and cultures as costumes. Very simple. Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really big one. And that's something that people still can't quite grasp for some reason. Yeah. Don't put, well, I can't say don't do it because I have done it, but like be aware of what's in your products, and especially in like reds and purples, because they will stain you like crazy. And also because I know some people are like, well, it's a lip product, so I'll put it on my eyes, it's fine. It's like, especially with reds, like that can actually be pretty bad. Like I don't recommend doing that. But yeah, just like
unless you want to look like a lobster.
Mhm. Also invest in like some skincare, like, you know, because it's very doing a lot of makeup and everything like that. It's very drying for your skin, because you're constantly rubbing it off. Also, like I don't really use makeup wipes anymore. Like it's very cliche, but I use like the Korean cleanser stuff to get everything off because it's a lot nicer on your skin than it is to kind of be constantly rubbing at it because it's like you're gonna be irritating things and especially it's like you've already been in body paint for 6 hours, your pores already hate you. Like just be nice.
uh, oh, it reminds me, what kind of makeup do you use for your body paints? I know you said you use an
I
water based or alcohol based.
No, I use cream based. Again, I don't know if you're using any of this
Oh no,
actual
I'll be
footage.
I'll be using it because it will show people.
Okay, because I was gonna say I have a whole bunch of them right here, so I can show you actually. But I use cream based body paints
So like
because I am sweaty.
like Maron.
Yeah, Maron works. I mostly work with Ben Nye, which
It's a
that was my favorite.
oh yeah, I'm familiar with Midnight. It's a really good brand. Not cheap,
Yeah.
but it's a really good brand.
No, no. One thing I will say that I have done, which again, and I've been told I'm not supposed to do this, so maybe if you do it, I did not say to do it anyway. But I start with the clown white, right? This is what I say. I always use a
Oh,
white
that's
base
what
for
you were saying.
everything.
You use the white and then you mix in the colors to get that color you want.
So yes, I do. So the thing is with this though, and I used to do this because I used to not want to have to buy all of the individual little paint things, right? You can actually use lipstick.
I've heard people use lipstick on occasion.
Yeah. So as long as it is a liquid or like a regular like cream lipstick, right? It's just like a normal lipstick. Because it has to be blendable. I wouldn't use like the liquid lips that like completely dry down either because it's gonna stick. But you can just do the same thing. You just again add it to like your contour areas and then you just blend it out and it's fine.
Nice.
But yeah, like a lot of my body paints, like Crolia, was all lipsticks, and then some clown white. So you only have to buy one of these. But I was told I'm not technically supposed to. But yeah, so I start with this guy, and then I have all of these little. I have like the normal sized pans, right, which are like these little ones. Still Ben Nye, but when I have to cover a big surface area or it's a color I use a lot, it's a lot easier for me to get one of these, which is one I think it's like the professional one, which is way bigger. You can
compare. Oh yeah.
Yeah, which especially if I'm going in because I use sponge to apply my body paint.
And you can see it's already been through a lot of like red.
Yes, so it's Ruby. She won't leave, but like it is clean. It's just stained, so it's like all right. But when you're trying to put this sponge in this palette,
Oh yeah, no, I can see why you go for the big one.
not great. So the bigger ones are a lot easier for me to
Do you use
use.
like those
And
do you use like the egg ones too? I can't remember what they're actually called.
these guys,
Yeah, those ones.
yeah. So these are like, well, the brand name is a beauty blender, but these ones I use for normal makeup. But for body paint, I use one of these guys. This is literally a sponge that's supposed to be used for working with clay. You can literally get them at a craft store for like $3, I think, for like a pack of 3 or 5 of them.
Pro tip.
And it's really nice because it's much bigger. It helps you cover a much bigger
And
surface area.
it has the same consistency as the egg blender.
No, because this one's a lot more porous, right? I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah, it's like a bath sponge in a sense.
Almost, yeah. But it's a lot more porous, and then this one's much finer, you know. So if you're going for like regular makeup, I would use this one because it's very like liquidy and everything. But like with body paint, you're trying to get the color fully down. You're caking a lot of it on usually too. So it's just like this is fine. This works really well, and then you don't have to worry about like these are kind of expensive.
Oh yeah, no.
And then I literally wash all my sponges and even all my makeup brushes with bar soap. Like it's kind of the only way to get these things clean unless you get like a specific sponge cleaner. But you just work it in and then you have to like squeeze the soap out of it and eventually it comes clean. It took me a whole bar of soap to get this one clean after Ruby.
Oh yeah, imagine the thing was covered in. Last question. Any tips, advice for those who are wanting to consider being a makeup artist or even wanting to consider doing body paint for the first time?
Do it. Do it. Like, so I tell my sister all the time, right? Because she likes to wear this makeup, but she doesn't know how to do any of it. And she's like, well, I just want to be on your level. And I'm like, I did not get to where I am overnight. I did not just, pick up
it takes
a
a lot of
makeup brush.
it takes
And
a
it
lot.
does. It takes a lot of time. And it's, I think a big barrier, honestly, a lot of people have is just not knowing where to start or not having like access to the different, well, it's like, I can't afford Ben Nye. It's like, cool, get some lipstick. Like, again, I did not tell
Neuron
you to do that. But
or Snazaroo.
yeah, well, Snazaroo it'll stain you. Be careful. But like they just you don't even have to start there. It's like just because honestly speaking, like one of my friends who I taught how to do body paint at Renfest this year. She's actually a really big makeup YouTuber, but she's never done body paint before. And I kind of explained to her, I'm like, yeah, it's the same process, but you're just not painting yourself a normal human color. But it's the same process. So like honestly, if you get really good at applying normal makeup, it's very easy to transition into doing body paint. It's a little harder to transition into like prosthetics and like that kind of stuff for like gore or anything like that, just because there are some things that you probably have never encountered before. But in terms of like body paint makeup or even like kind of crazy makeup, like stuff that I do all the time that's very easy to do, very accessible, is like adding the graphic liner. I really like doing fun like freckles. Like for my mushroom, I had little mushrooms all over like my cheek,
little white,
right
like
here.
little white, like little white spots like I see on a red mushroom.
Yes, I had those, but I also just drew mushrooms on myself. So it was like little, just like with the caps and the stems, and I just had them all here. I've also done Easter eggs like that. I have one where I did like, it looks like milk tea, and I put boba all over it. And that kind of stuff. So it's just like, it's actually one of the makeups that I'm really well known for still. It's very stupid. It's something I did out of spite. Was I did like a ramen, like an instant noodle makeup,
like cup of noodle.
Mm-hmm. And I had like I think I had green onion freckles and like that kind of stuff. Like it's very easy to do, and that like was accomplished with like eyeshadow and a normal black eyeliner. So it's like you don't have to have super high-end fancy products to just start experimenting with things. And like honestly, once you understand like color placement and just how your face shape works, it's very easy to transition into anything from there. Like it's not as hard as I think people think it is.
I mean, technically, your face is a canvas. It's just, the only difference is, it's not a flat surface. It's curved and 3D-ish.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I've also had people who were like artists, right? Just like 2D artists and everything, who then, had to transition into figuring out makeup. And they're like, oh, okay, well, highlighter goes where you'd want, we would normally have the lighter colors on drawings and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing. Or like, if you understand color theory, cool, that makes it way easier for you, because that's what color correcting is, on people's faces. So it's just like, yeah, it's especially if you have kind of a creative background to start with, it's actually a lot easier to get into than a lot of people seem to think it is. And you don't need to have any like crazy stuff. Like I used my go-to for the longest time, still is for a lot of things, is just like NYX cosmetics, right?
I've heard of
you can get
NYX.
them in a grocery store.
NYX is a fairly well-known brand, and they're a fairly decent price.
They're pretty cheap. Yeah, they're technically considered like a drugstore brand and stuff. So you can get a lot of stuff there. They have a lot of really great eyeshadows. They also have like the Milk Jumbo pencil from them. That's my favorite in terms of like a white pencil liner. I use it for all my brows and that kind of stuff. Mine is actually like about that big because every time I go to get a new one, they're out of stock. But they also have a bunch of great lip products. So it's like, cool, get yourself a little tub of white and get a lipstick and knock yourself out. And it's like $20,
Nice.
So anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's just about covered again. Rosey, thank you for coming on to this episode of Geeking Out to talk about what it's like being a makeup artist and everything. And yeah, again, to those, thank you for listening to this. I'm Winnie Unknown. Until next time, thank you for watching.